Bismillah, walhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah, ma ba'd. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, everybody. Welcome back to the an-Nasā'ī podcast. This is episode 5, alhamdulillah. As you can see, things look a bit different today. I'm on my own at this moment. Nobody beside me, obviously. But alhamdulillah, this is just, we're trying something new where we're going to film the introduction after we finish the episode. So we're all done with the episode, alhamdulillah. And this episode we had what we call Qur'an panel Qur'an panel. So we had a few different sisters come and share their different journeys with the Qur'an and how they, with the Qur'an, through the Qur'an, to the Qur'an, whatever you want to call it, their Qur'anic journey. We talked about different aspects, learning tafsir, learning word to word or translation of the Qur'an, memorizing the Qur'an, starting to learn the Qur'an when you're younger, starting to learn the Qur'an when you're older, starting in between, etc. Hardships when you're in the hardships that have to do with the Qur'an. Everything basically that has to do with our journeys, our journeys with the Qur'an, and whatever came in between that, we discussed in today's episode. It's a bit long, as you can probably see, but inshallah, it's very, very beneficial. And yeah, so we're just going to get right into it. Oh, it's also a bit different because Ukhti Sen is behind the camera. So she's still here. She's just behind the camera asking the questions. And my two co-panelists will be on my side, inshallah. So let's get into it.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, ladies.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Alright, so inshallah, we'll start with your guys' names and ages, inshallah. So we'll start with Samira.
Yeah, so my name is Samira and I'm 25 years old.
My name is Nasteha and I'm 23 years old.
My name is Aliyah and I'm 19 years old.
Okay, so I was thinking we should just jump right into it. We'll just go one by one and everyone will just start with their Qur'an journeys, inshallah, how it started,
Where it started. Oh, astaghfirullah doesn't end, but
yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Lifelong journey.
Yeah.
So would you like to, we'll start with you, Samira.
Yeah, sure, I'll start. Okay, yeah, so I'm 25 right now, so I can say I started around 2016. I had 2 epiphanies in life. Let's start with the first one. The first one was in 2011. I think I was 17, 18. I just sat down somewhere and I was like, yo, like, Samira, like, you do not know how to pray. Like, I was just talking to myself one day. I was like, Samira, you don't know how to pray. You don't know how to do anything. You're a loser. Like, what's going on? And then that was my first epiphany. And then I kind of locked myself in a room with a pen and paper and sat down and taught myself how to pray in one day. So that was the beginning of that. But I did nothing with it. Like, I didn't start praying or anything like that. But it was just nice to have that just in case, I wanted to start praying. I don't really know, because I never really had any influences. So I never really had someone to push me to start praying other than, our moms. Like, every now and then growing up, they were like, everyone get up, start praying, but you would still stay on the computer. You wouldn't really move from your spot. So alhamdulillah, that was my first epiphany. Then my second epiphany happened in 2016 when, like, once again, I was just sitting somewhere. I was like, yo, Samira, you don't know how to read the Qur'an. Like, what's going on? Like, I can't physically open up a kitab and just start reading it, subhanAllah. So that was my last year of school. And
high school?
Of college.
Oh, okay.
So it was my last year of school, 2016. I believe I was 21. And I was just like, let me just start going to prayer. So I started going, to the mosque with my mom. Didn't know anyone there, so it wasn't really a place I would visit often other than just Friday prayer. And 2016, I finished school. Rewind to December. That was April. Rewind to December. One of my friends invited me to this Islamic school. Am I able to say their name?
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, so they invited me to the school called Al-Hida in Toronto. It was like right outside Toronto. So I went there one day, and I loved it. At that time I didn't know how to read either, but I was just there. It was a nice vibe. My mom dropped me off. She picked me up. I was like, Mom, like, this place, they teach you everything, yada, yada, yada. And my mom was like, yeah, just go there on the weekends, when you have time. And I was like, okay, sure.
Were you doing other stuff at this time?
I wasn't doing anything. That was the first time going to, I was still in school, sorry. That was 2016 December. I was still in school. I still didn't finish school. But it was just really cool seeing an establishment like that catered to females, teaching them all like hadith, Qur'an, beginners, experts, and everything like that. So I went there. It was nice. I went home. And I kind of just always had that in the back of my mind, like, that's such a cool place. So fast forward to April, finished school, and my mom, she starts talking to me about, okay, are you going to go back to school, continue further your education, yada, yada, yada. So this whole time, my mom thought, come September, I'm going to start going back to school to learn something else, to just continue my education. So I kind of let her think that. I was just like, whatever, you know? So August, the new batch at Al-Huda started, where they're starting from Surah Fatiha. So I enrolled myself in that.
So you enrolled into Al-Huda without your mom knowing?
Yeah, so she did know I was going to Al-Huda, but she thought it was only an August thing. And then come September, I'm back in school. So
is that when the new batch started? August?
That's when the new batch, it started like, sometime in August. So I was there with my little kitab, not knowing how to read anything. I think the Al-Huda mushaf that they gave out was all black ink, but the only thing that was red was the name of Allah. So it would be Allah or Rabb or something like that. So that's the only way I knew where they were. When they said something about Allah, I'd be like, okay, they're on this eye. Like, I never had any clue where they were on the actual page. So shout out to that kitab with the red writing. But so then come September, my mom was like, yo, like, school. And then that was like one of my biggest fears, was breaking it down to my mom that I kind of want to take a pause from life, or like social norms of going to school, getting a job right after school, getting married. So I just sat her down one evening and I was like, Mom, I'm actually not going back to school. I want to start learning Qur'an full time. And it didn't go too well. She thought, she thought a lot of things. She called my dad on the phone. My dad thought I was crazy. He's like, you're an extremist. Like, it was a lot was happening. Yeah, just that regular reaction.
Yeah,
I don't know if anyone had that reaction. That's what I had.
Yeah, definitely.
It was pretty crazy, subhanAllah. But 2 weeks in, like, honestly, my mom was the funniest. Like, after like a week in, I just like walked by her in the living room. She's like, yeah, so my daughter is like in Qur'an school now, and she's like bragging about it. I'm like, Mom, like 1 week ago you were cussing me out, and now you're like, mashallah. I'm like, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
So she started to support it. She started loving it, and alhamdulillah, that's how it started.
So prior to starting Al-Huda, what would you like? How much did you know? Like, had you ever gone to Duxie prior to that?
No.
Qur'an school?
I've never, other than that one day in December, me going to Al-Huda one day, and I think for like a month or two, some man would come over to my house and like teach my siblings and I Alif Fatha, but it didn't really go that far. Yeah, it was just, and I think once when I was 4, I went to Duxie, went to Qur'an school, but like nothing stuck. Like, I didn't know anything. I didn't remember anything from when I was 4, and I didn't gather any information when I had that 1 month teacher at my house. So I didn't know anything.
So how long was that program?
The Al-Huda program was 18 months.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it was a full-time Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Very rigorous.
Can you tell us what it was like when you first started? Because I know you had, like, it was difficult in the beginning, wasn't it?
Yeah. No, yeah. Around that time, I met you in 2016. 16. So I literally met you at the masjid when I started, like, coming every now and then.
Before that. No, it was 2016, but you know what happened?
Really?
You and your dogs, you came to the summer meeting and you're like,
oh, that's
want to be heads.
Yeah, but I was still an unlettered child in that meeting. Let me tell you that.
No, but that's exactly what initiative is. Honestly, that's why people like
you have to squeeze yourself in situations.
And I feel like that's what's important is initiative. Because like Samira, like we didn't know nothing about her really, but then
I didn't know anyone.
She said, I want to volunteer for the conference. We gave her a whole department, and to this day she's like top, like helping out to the conference, what, 5 years later?
Yeah.
No, it was, you know.
It's like 5 years. No, but my point is like, you know, people, I don't like the not nepotism, but like the clickiness in the mosques where it's like, if you're around, then you're there forever, and even if you don't do much, you always have like a position. But like now, if you show initiative, then those are the people who are gonna actually.
And I think that's what people are scared of the most is the fact that when they do go to mosques, they feel like people are in cliques and that way. So I think taking initiative, squeezing yourself in situations, you know, trying to make friends, trying to better your circle, you know?
Initiative, exactly.
I think that's when I met you in that room. But if I really look back at that day specifically, it's pretty interesting because that was like one of like the first few times I actually went to that mosque. And subhanAllah, there was some auntie downstairs. They're like, why you guys? It was me and another sister Yusra. We were there, and the auntie was like, "Why are you down here? There's something going on upstairs." Like, okay, well, I'm going up there. I want to see what's up. So,
but look at the way Qadr works.
That's what I was just going to say. Literally, my life did not make sense back then. So it was just like everything was like falling into place. Like back in the day, I would have never walked in the room without knowing anyone. Yeah, even though I know you'll say otherwise, because like
no, you're different now. Bottom of
like I would have never like I said, that was a handful of times. First few times I've been to that masjid, and I walked in a room with like 15 girls sitting around, and I just said, "What's up? Like, what is this?" I didn't even know it was a meeting. So subhanAllah, Allah really made things easy for me specifically. So
about Huda as well, like starting off in the beginning.
So wait, what was the question?
What was it like in the beginning of it?
What was it like? It was like a hot mess. Yeah, it was really a hot mess because it was the summer still.
Sorry, before you continue, what's your program? What's called Ta'aleem al-Qur'an?
Yeah.
So what is that? What do you
basically learn the translation of the whole Qur'an, so you can be able to open it and read it in Arabic and know what it says in English.
It's word to word, right?
Word to word. Yeah, you learn Sirah, you learn Hadith, a whole bunch of stuff. Tahara, they had a lot of classes. Grammar, a lot of stuff. So it was a mess. It was still the summer 2016. I was still trying to live my life, trying to balance my life. It was a mess. You know, don't you? I don't know if you're. No, I don't know if I started really hanging out with you back then.
It was summer. I remember. I was. They was born in August. I was regular hanging out.
Yeah, we were still staying out late, and I'll be like, guys, I gotta go.
It's Ramadan. It was Ramadan. So after Ramadan, we were sunset chasers. We're like, I know sunrise chasers. So we're like, what sunrise are we going to see today? So
Which lake?
What lake? What end of the lake? So we go like what? Lake Ontario, right? Go look. Yeah, whole anywhere that was nice and scenic. One time we went to Brampton Falls. We were trying to go to a waterfall. We went to a farm. Anyways, we were just trying to look at waterfalls. So then you were going home, what, 7 a.m.?
I was going home really late, and I had to still wake up for Al-Hada. And it was just a mess, but alhamdulillah, one thing that I did was stick it through, no matter what, like even if I missed a day or a week, I would always like come back. Paying money helped a lot too. It's an arm and a leg.
You know what's interesting about that, and in a way it's kind of unfortunate, but a lot of the times when you're paying for something, it really makes you take it serious. It really shouldn't be like, you know what I mean? Obviously it shouldn't be like that, but it is a way to kind of just make you, and even if you are slacking, it's like you start to ask yourself like, hey, no, I gotta figure it out now because I'm still being charged. So what am I gonna do? You know what I mean? So
even if it's a small fee, I feel like you just make
it doesn't let you be in that in between, like one foot in, one foot out. Like it makes you make a decision like I'm gonna be in it or not, you know?
It's actually, it has its pros and cons paying for courses, but in my case it was more of a pro for me, like knowing that I have to go back because I just paid so and so amount of $100, you know? So the beginning was really rough up until I think I didn't take it seriously for the most part up until just, I think it was Surah Yusuf. I feel like when I got to that, I think that's just 12, 11.
That's sort of 12. I don't know if it's
just
12.
No, 10. It is like 11.
Yusuf. So that's when I really took it seriously because the story was so beautiful and I really liked it, and I still wasn't taking part in the quizzes or the tests, but I said, hey, let me just try to do the quiz for this certain juz, and I got like a 79 or something like that. And that was so amazing for me because like that was my first good mark in that. So that pushed me. Yeah.
I remember them, wallahi, when you guys used to go. It was you. So I started with you.
So I started,
They were literally birds. You know, like the hadith about birds who leave in the morning and Allah feeds them. They had no idea how they're going to get there. Every day was a new ride.
Yeah.
That is another situation. SubhanAllah, wallahi.
With the ride situation?
We hitched, my friend, at one day, we had to hitchhike literally on our feet back to Toronto from Mississauga. Yeah, we had no ride. It was a whole mess. It was every day we were in another person's car, subhanAllah, but like it just goes to show Allah like made it really easy for us in the West.
But you guys
End.
were like making sure that like
you
tried.
Yeah.
And Allah gave you the ride. You woke up every morning, you didn't know.
Not knowing how I was gonna get there. I can tell you I did not know how I was getting there every single morning, but subhanAllah. But I had this really good friend, Iram. I don't know if I don't know who knows Iram here, but Iram, she is this Pakistani sister, and she would message me every morning, subhanAllah, say, Samira, wake up, do this, because she knew it was hard for me. So that was like another thing that helped with my journeys, having consistent, friends that pushed me for the sake of Allah.
Yeah. That was beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay, what about right now? Moving on after you graduated, what did you like?
So even while I was there, it got a little bit easier. Even when I graduated, it was still a little bit hard for me to stay consistent, I would say. But we opened up another division in the West End, because Mississauga's over here. We opened up a division El Huda in the West End. So I happened to live in that exact area of El Huda that was in the West End. So they said, Samira, just come help out with this. So I started helping out with the media tech stuff. So a bunch of our friends who graduated from the previous batch started helping out over there. I specifically only helped out with media, while the other girls helped out with being TAs. So they were helping out with teaching the other girls the word-to-word of the Qur'an. So that was just me chilling. But by the next time, the following year, when the next course in the West End opened up, I started myself teaching the beginners. So it was like full circle that, subhanAllah, I was once being taught from Alif Batta, because I was in the beginners group at Al Huda for so many months. People used to joke around about how I was the ambassador of that group. It was actually so funny.
People are so foul.
Yeah, people are so crazy.
That's funny.
Like there's like a group. People would come and go. They would learn their stuff. They would like pass the Alif Batta, and I'm still there chilling. You know what I mean? I'm still there.
Yeah.
And there was one GI, subhanAllah. She was a Somali sister. I think they kicked me out of that group. Yeah, they said you've been in the group for too long. They kicked me out of the beginners group, and I went to another group, Sister Faiza's group. I don't know if I can say her name.
Wow.
She
No, let me just not laugh.
she was amazing with helping me throughout that journey while I was in that school. So anyways, fast forward to the West End, Al Huda. I started helping out sisters over there with Alif Batta. So it's full circle.
She's being humble. She taught people, what, 2 people so far? Up to her. She's actually out here, like she did it. Like recently, people just finished it's not like beginners group. She's teaching people how to read the Qur'an. Allah about it.
Yeah.
So she's being humble. Well, how old are you when you started?
21.
21, and then at the end, she finished, and then now she's a teacher. Like if that's not
what's interesting is that one of the prerequisites, I believe, is to be able to read, right? Like just have a general understanding of like how to read the Qur'an. So for you to like go in not knowing, like having to learn Alif Batta and then learning how to read and still coming through, it's just
and that's the thing I think is so special about Al Huda, is that somebody told me, I'm not sure exactly, if you want to be a teacher, a teacher's assistant or whatever, everybody has to have completed the course. So all of the people, the GIs, what does the GI stand for?
Group in charge.
They complete the course. So it's like they finish, and then it's like literally you're paying sadaqah exactly on your knowledge. Like you finish, you have to give back in that way. You have to like you have to help out and whatever. And everybody I know goes back. I don't know anybody like who graduated who doesn't like get called up, go back, and volunteer.
Yeah, same. Like most of the girls that I know, like whenever they have a day off during the week, they'll be like, let's go to Al-Hada. It's just such a nice environment.
Yo, it's like even if you go for a day, that just an environment is special there because the whole thing is obviously anywhere that's like based on the Qur'an. It is exactly. Exactly. Okay, so then afterwards, so you did that with the teaching. Okay, well, sorry, this is not my interview. Go ahead. Ask me questions.
No. So what are you up to now when it comes with the
so I
by the way, is that West End, the program in the West End, is it still happening?
It's still happening, yeah. They're doing,
Is it the just Tabbatic?
Tabbatic, yeah.
Okay. It's at Darul Hijra Mosque.
Yeah, they're doing it there now.
On Kipling.
Yeah, it's amazing.
What day?
Saturday morning.
And that's the good thing about the ones when they send out, like the other branches, is that it's not full time.
It's not full time. It's for people who are in school, who are working full time. So it's really nice that people could still benefit on the weekends. So that still's going on. Yeah,
it makes it very accessible to like people who are working full time. I went to a shrouding workshop, and I think it was you guys that were holding it.
Yeah.
And I was shocked. I didn't know that it was like full blown. Like a miniature version of it.
It's probably Allah bless those girls and the instructor. But right now I started my Hifz journey. So that's something that I kind of had to think about myself for a moment, because I feel like all of us are so busy with the idea of giving back to the community, teaching people, doing this, doing that, but like we never really think of, I don't know if that's like something that you guys think of, like you never really think of yourself. So I was like, let me just take a moment from helping other people out of Al-Hada, which I still love doing, you know what I mean? And like think about myself. So this past Ramadan, I enrolled myself with Ma'alin, and so I go there on Saturdays and Sunday mornings.
Okay.
Yeah.
Inshallah.
All right, so now we will start with Aliyah's journey, inshallah. So if you want to let us know how you started with the Qur'an, what you're up to now, inshallah.
I don't know. I started with the Qur'an, I think my whole life, like at a young age, we learned like Alipat Ta with like my parents, or like we'd always be around the Qur'an, not the Qur'an like directly, but like we learned how to read and write from my parents. And then we had like a Duksi teacher that used to come to our house, and like he taught us like how to like memorize, and we used to read to him. But all that, like we were really young, and like even after that, like we would Duksi hop a lot. Like we'd stay at a Duksi for like 3 months, and then a different Duksi for like a few months, and we never had like a fixed teacher for a while. Like we had like multiple different teachers. So when I was in grade 4, so I was 9. This masjid opened like near our area, and it was called Masjid al-Hikmah. And like my parents,
when Hikmah opened,
I think like when he moved to the building, But he used to teach for a while, like under a coffee
so wholesome.
It was a couple years back. But he used to teach at like a different location, but it wasn't like the masjid.
Okay.
But then he got his own masjid, like I think 2009, around there.
Can I say who the Ma'alin is?
Ma'alin Abdul Ghani.
Okay.
So he teaches at a masjid called Masjid al-Hikmah, and it's at Keelan Lawrence now. But I started when I was in grade 4, but we started with like weekends. So we went like Saturdays, Sundays. Then like
started in the 4th grade.
Yeah, because it was near our house, and like my parents heard of him, and like my neighborhood.
You were part of the bricks, like you were literally there at the beginning.
We went like in the beginning, alhamdulillah, because it was really close to my area, right? So like everyone from the area was going, and like everyone was talking about it.
Yeah. But so for those who don't know, now Hikmah is really popular for Hifz.
Yeah, now Hikmah it's kind of known for Hifz, and like a lot of people from different areas come. So it's kind of bigger now, alhamdulillah. But I started in grade 4, but we started like Saturday, Sunday Duksi. So there's like 3 different groups. So there's like Saturday, Sunday group. Then there was like a part-time group. So it was like Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday, and then there was like a full-time, where the kids that went there, they didn't go to school. They all did homeschooling, and like they would go to Qur'an full-time. And that time, I think the group for full-time was like really little. Like there were like maybe like 6 girls.
You were part of the full-time?
No, I wasn't a part of the full-time. I used to just hear about them, but like I was like, wow, they're amazing, I guess. Like that's crazy. I just went back to my public school. You know, we'd only go on like the weekends, right?
Okay.
But when I was in grade 6 though, somewhere along the lines, I moved to part-time. So I started going 4 days a week. Then when I was finished grade 6, I remember my mom like wanted me to go to full-time. So she asked me that summer, she's like, and we recently moved. She's like, oh, do you want to like start full-time? And like, I didn't mind because all my friends were in full-time. Like the girls that I was really close with were in full-time, and they're always there and they're always having so much fun, like what it seemed to be like so much fun. And I was like, okay, I don't mind. So when I was supposed to start grade 7, I ended up going to full-time Qur'an. So it was like a total change where I was doing homeschool now. So like my whole life I've been going to school, and then this one year I had to stay home, and like we used to go from Fajr to like Dhuhr, I think. So we wake up like 4 a.m. and then come back home like after 1, almost 2. So it was long hours, but we didn't really notice it because like you're with everybody, like everyone else is awake with you.
So what's covered in full time?
Sorry?
Like what is it? Just hifz?
It was just hifz.
Okay.
And we would like do like muraja, so like subah.
Oh, okay.
Like,
okay.
and then we also do like,
for those who don't know, subah.
Subah is like when people sit in a circle, and then you could take like an ayah each, so you can review the Qur'an. So we'd have a specific amount, like a juz or 2 juzzes, and then we'd sit in a circle, and then each person takes like an ayah, and then like you review like that 2 juzzes. So then we'd mark the mistakes and everything, so you can know how many mistakes you make and like where you can fix and everything. So yeah.
Oh, sorry. So when you guys went there, the main focus was hifz.
Yeah, the main focus was hifz.
And so would you guys actually do your hifz while you're there, or would you go like take your lesson, go home, memorize, and then come back?
We would go home and memorize it.
Okay.
We'd memorize when you go home, but by the time you get in, because it's such long hours, you'd end up memorizing the next day's Ashr. Like if you wanted to get ahead of it, you'd memorize like the next day's Ashr, so when you go home, you can maybe be a little more free. But like, yeah, we're there for like most of the day. So it's like you try to learn it, because by the first 2 hours you're done. Like you already read to him, the teacher, and then like you have nothing to do. So you'd read the next day's Ashr. So review or do the next day's Ashr. So yeah, we'd go home and like memorize it. Ashr is lesson, sorry.
Brand new lesson,
yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, we'd go home and memorize it.
And Muraja is review.
Yeah, Muraja is review.
So homeschool. So was that online, and how much time out of your day would that take?
It wasn't online because I was in middle school. Like when you get to high school and they're actually like looking at the credits and everything, that's when you start doing online and they're more focused on you. Where like if it's middle school and elementary, you just have your own work like that you do yourself. And then we'd just go to tutoring. So I used to go to like Kuman or like different tutoring centers and like do like my own like tutoring certain days of the week.
So would it be like a booklet or?
They would give me like booklets to do like to practice with, and then my mom would also have like those like math smart, English smarts.
Yeah.
And then I would do my own like work. So it was like that.
It's a full day.
Yeah. It's fun.
So when you would come home, it would just be homeschool stuff.
Yeah, homeschool stuff.
Okay.
Like take a little nap, homeschool stuff, and then learn your Ashr for the next day.
Okay.
Yeah, so.
But I'm sure you were like ahead of the game, huh?
No, honestly, I was.
You do your Ashr at home?
No, I would do my Ashr at home. I would bait, because when you're there, your friends are there, so you're like reading, and then once you're done like reciting Ashr to the teacher, you're like, okay, let me just talk to my friends a little bit, and then you learn and then on top of that, they need you to learn your subah, so like your review. So you have like 2 juzzes to look over, and then you also have your 2 like pages or page that you have to memorize. So yeah.
Did you all start full time already having like a couple juz under your belt?
So most of the people that go into full-time probably were in part-time or weekend before that. So you do have a couple juzzes memorized. But he'd always like if you're not perfect, like good in those juzzes that you have memorized, you'd have to start over. So like he would be like, okay, start from the beginning again, and then you go past it again. Or there's always review going on. He'll put your new lesson on pause, and then you do review for a while. So you can, because he was really big on like knowing what you passed. Like he didn't like which is true, because like what's the point of going forward if you don't know what you passed, right? Mostly when it comes to memorization, it's like you're memorizing for no reason if you don't have the strong like things that you passed, right?
How much review would you have daily versus and what would you have to memorize in a day?
We would have like every it depends on where you are in the Qur'an, right? So like every other day we would have like subah. So it was like a 2 juz subah or 1 juz subah, depending on like when it was. And it was what you passed. So you have to review that on your own. And then Ashar wise, everyone is different. So like everyone used to learn like what they were capable of learning.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So some people would be doing half page, some people a page, some people 2 pages.
Okay.
Or how much they're able to do. Yeah.
I've never been to Hikmah, but I've heard that Ramadan is pretty strict there. Is that true?
He was strict.
Okay.
And like
Still
I
now?
think like he still is strict on like Qur'an, and I feel like that's needed if like mostly if you're like a full-time student there. It's like if you didn't have a strict teacher, you'd be wasting your time, right? And it made us take him more serious, and it made like us take the Qur'an more serious, and like it seemed like it was something important to us, because like if it's so important to him, it must be important, right? So yeah.
That's deep.
But
Your mom was the one who took you out?
yeah, my mom used to take us all the time, and my dad too, but he'd be working most of the time. But like
Your
my
mom's idea to...
to take me out of school, yeah, because my brother used to go, and like he used to be in the full-time program. So then she kind of got the idea from there, and she's like, okay, might as well. She's still young. You're not like missing much if you don't go to school. Rather than if you're like in high school, it's harder to just stop, right?
Middle school's a perfect age.
Yeah.
To go stop schooling.
Because I know a lot of people who stopped during high school, and it was kind of hard for them to do online.
Yeah,
Because the workload's a lot more, and then it's like you're trying to balance memorization, and then like
I find that at Huda, a lot of the students as well are being taken out of school around the same time and going into that program. I just can't even, I mean, even if you just take into consideration the fitna that you are exposed to just from middle school to high school.
And I feel like that's the age, like in laqab salawat, like you have to like that's the age you have to catch them.
And it doesn't affect the person that much. Like when I was young, I didn't care. Like
You
I was like,
missing out.
Yeah, I wasn't missing out on much. Like maybe I like a plus was that I did have friends there already, so I didn't mind. But like in terms of like trying to like see my friends every day at school, I didn't care about that. I was like, okay, let me go to full time. Like I don't mind. But high school it's harder because like you already have a life. You know, it's like you don't want to leave that and like be the odd one
when you're in high school, you're made. Like you can't. Nobody can tell you nothing. When you're in middle school, you're still listening to your parents.
A lot of undoing to do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So with the full time, so once you went in full time, how long was that program? Just being there full time. Is it a set amount of years or?
No, it's like until you finish the Qur'an.
Okay.
So like people would finish in like 2.5 years. Some people would finish like 3 years. So until you're done the Qur'an, pretty much you're there. And even after, like some people stay even after they're done, just do muraja and then finish like the rest of their schooling online or however they do their homeschooling. Okay. But it wasn't like a fixed amount of time or you're kicked out, you know? Yeah.
I know you and I know Aisha.
My sister Aisha?
No, your sister. Well, your sister Aisha too. And then Bahajah too. But Aisha...
Sayyidin.
Yeah.
The one that there's a bunch of... No.
Like, I'm not trying to like break your back, close your ears or whatever, but they're just so wholesome. A lot of them, like they're just, even Aisha, like, you know, like they're so like just... I just feel like we're so not corrupt, but we're corrupt at the same time. You know, like
it's a different vibe.
No, honestly,
I think it protected you. Huh? It's like that protected you from like wallahi in middle school. I can't. Middle school was R-rated half the time. Like that was a crazy time. It was, and you're like 11, 12. People are having boyfriends. The high school I went to, all the kids that came, like they were doing to my middle school. But when I went, they already did drugs. They all slept together by then. They all like experimented with sex. They all experimented with alcohol by then.
Middle school?
One kid, he apostated by the time he was a grade 9. Like,
but I feel like now it's like you can even get that online though. Like if someone is taken out of school and they have social media, you can still get corrupted, you know?
Yes, subhanAllah.
But alhamdulillah, I felt like it was a really good age to take me out of school.
And a good year, I guess.
Yeah, it was a good year.
So looking back, you're like, probably, I mean, you didn't even mind in the beginning.
I didn't mind, but it affected me, like if I continue my story, like it got to me after a while. Then I started being more aware of like, oh, school, everyone's there, my neighbors are all going to school and they're living their life, and you know. But in the moment though, I didn't care. In that time.
So you started Hikmah full time.
I started Hikmah when I was going to grade 7, like full time. I was in Hikmah before that, but I started full time when I was going to grade 7. So grade 7, grade 8, grade 9, and then it started affecting me because I was like, all my friends are going to high school and like they're all coming. They're like, oh my god, I'm this credit and this credit and this credit. And when I get this course and this, I'm like, what is a course? What is a credit? Like I didn't know what they're talking about. Like I felt left out. I can't lie, I felt left out for a while. And I remember I went to my mom the year that I was supposed to go to grade 9. And I'm like, oh, like, Hoya, let me go to school this year. I could do both, you know. And another thing was, I feel like the people around me were also telling me you can do both. And like, I'd have neighbors or like certain people like elders, like aunts and stuff that would be like, oh, like, why are you just focusing on school? And they're telling me this at a young age. Like, they're not telling my parents this. They probably are, but like, they're telling me, they're like, oh, you could do both. Like, why are you just stopping school? School is good too and all that. And I'm like, I understood school's okay, yeah, it's good. You need your education. But like, if I want to focus on this one thing for now, then you shouldn't be like telling me to, you know what I mean? Unless I come to that decision. But
even I remember Salma, when she left high school, right, to go to Huda, and she was like, I remember she said she didn't know anything much. She didn't know much, but everybody at school was like, "Are you crazy? Why are you leaving
high school?"
Grade 11, right? Or grade
but I feel like Selma was different. Selma just didn't like people, so she was like, "I'm out of here."
Her mom, she said, "I just want to listen to my mom." But you're right.
No, she did not want to be there.
No, but then with her students were like, that's obviously not fathomable to them, and then she just like, y'all are evil, like, you know, obviously not evil, but
they're toxic.
Yeah, she's like, this is a toxic environment, obviously. So even just, I feel like it starts with the home. Even just knowing in your heart that like, at least like. You know what I'm saying? Like, if your parents, like, if you didn't instill that thing that the Qur'an is important, then you just sort of been like, yo, let me just go to high school. Why am I even in this? You know?
Like, I understood that it was important, and I knew I'd wanted to do it. It wasn't something that I'm gonna say like I didn't want to do, because again, all my friends and all the people who actually mattered to me were there. So it's like I didn't care that much. So
benefit of righteous friends.
Yeah, but like I was watching this other podcast, listening to it, and the girl, I remember she mentioned, she's talking about like her Qur'an journey too, and she mentioned that the people she went to Duksi with and the people that she went to like Qur'an classes with, they ended up becoming like her family. And I feel like that's literally what we had there. Like everyone that actually mattered was there. Like most of my siblings were there. All my friends till now, like some of them I met them from Hikmah. Like they all, were there. So it didn't matter to me that much, but I feel like the outside, like social media and all that, seeing people my age going to school and knowing that when I did go back to school, I'd probably be behind a little bit. Like it didn't settle with me, So I remember when I was going to grade 9, when I was supposed to go to grade 9, I told my mom, I'm like, Hoy, like, I want to go back. I kept bothering her about it. And she kept telling me, you only have a little bit left, which was true. I had like less than 10 juices left, I think. Like, she's just like, you have a little bit left. And the amount of hard work we put in for those past few years, I guess she was just like, just a little bit longer, but it was never like a force. She was just like, okay, you can do it if you want, but like, I would want you to do this and I would want you to finish this and all that. And I'm like, okay, one more year. I'm like, okay, one more year. When my grade goes to grade 10, I'm going back to school. And then a year passed and I literally had 3 surahs left, I think. I had Nisa, Al-Imran, and Baqarah by the time September came. And my mom was going on a trip. She was leaving to go to Hajj, but she was going back to Somalia first. And she was like, I remember I was telling her, I'm like, I want to go back to school in September because she was leaving in August. So I'm like, let me just tell her now before she leaves so she knows I'm going back to school. And I kept telling her, I'm like, I'm going back to school. And she's like, okay, you know what? Like, if you want to go back to school, it's okay. Like, do it. But I can tell, like, she didn't want me to. She was just like, she wanted me to go to school, but she's like, you literally have 3 surahs left. You know what I mean? Like, just finish it and you're going to be done, But I really wanted to go to school. So, and during this time also, like, I went to Qur'an class with people who were amazing. MashaAllah. Like, some of these kids, like, MashaAllah, like, it blows my mind. Some of them finished at, like, 10 years old. Some of them finished at 11 years old. Some of them finished within a year and a half. And I'm there for, 4 years in full-time? And then, like, 2 years that I was in part-time. So it's a pretty long time, but it's still an okay time. But compared to the kids there and the people that I was going to Duksi with, it was kind of, like, a long, long time, right? So I remember I used to just think, like, like, it's so hard for me. And it was really hard for me. Like, I thought, like, I'm never going to finish. Like, yeah, 3 surahs left, but these 3 surahs are, like, what, 4 juices? Like, they're not short. But, like, subhanAllah, like, in that moment, like, I felt like I gave up already. Like, I was like, when I go to school, like, I'm not going to spend as much time with the Qur'an. I'm going to get focused on my friends and, like, catch up with what I missed out on in, like, 3 years, right? So my mom ended up leaving, and I started school in September. When I started school in September, like, I went to school, and I didn't focus that much on Qur'an. Like, I was reading Qur'an, but, like, in my heart, I knew I wasn't going to finish. I was like, okay, like, let me just drag these 3-4 surahs on. So the end of the month came, and Allah Hadith, my mom ended up passing away, right? And I knew that the only thing that she wanted me to do was Qur'an. She spent so long, like, teaching me the Qur'an that I felt so guilty, obviously. Like, I had 3 surahs left, might as well finish. So I ended up leaving school after like 24 days. Literally September like 24th, I left school. And this time it was my choice. Like, I remember telling my dad, I'm like, you know, Abba, I want to leave school. He's like, again? I'm like, yeah, I'm going to leave school. But I knew that I could be done, but inshallah, by the end of the year. So maybe I could come back next semester or something. So I finished, I left school. And then I ended up like going back to Qur'an full time. And alhamdulillah, the end of that year, I ended up finishing. But I felt like the only thing that I had as motivation was the fact that like I knew my mom loved it. And obviously like I knew this certain like book, this certain Qur'an had like a very big part in my life. Like I spent so many years learning it that like I wanted to finish it. It was like a goal of mine. Yeah. So I ended up alhamdulillah finishing it. And since then I'm still in the Qur'an class. I'm still like learning, but just more of like reviewing and like keeping it close. But yeah, alhamdulillah, that's pretty much my story. But alhamdulillah.
So you're sorry, are you still reviewing at Hikmah?
Yeah, I'm still reviewing there. Yeah.
Okay.
Alhamdulillah.
That's really, subhanAllah, man. Moms, they know best. That having a righteous mother is really just a blessing. And honestly, as just me being a mother, that's so inspiring to me because I feel like you kind of have to be what you want your kids to be, you know, or at least be a source of motivation to them. And letting them know what's important. And even as a parent, I think that pressure can really get to you. Like your kids aren't in school, like, you know what I mean? People are just really vicious sometimes. Like they'll come to your parents and be like, oh, so what, your daughter is not gonna like do anything for herself. It's all projection, right? Like, you know what I mean? And a lot of the times they wish that their kids would be doing the same thing, but it's just, so to even stay firm in that as a parent, I think is really there's so many pressures around being a parent in general, just like raising kids or whatever, but subhanAllah, when your kids want to take an Islamic route or a route that's just closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so subhanAllah, it just seems like people are
more against it. No, I know for sure she probably faced that. Like people, like her friends probably telling her like, you know, she can do both. It's not like they're telling her like don't learn the Qur'an, but it's more of like balance it. We're in Canada, you know, like balance it. She needs to have an education. She needs to have this, which is true. Like you need to get there, but like sometimes you have to stop something to focus on what's more important at that moment. So alhamdulillah.
And you're just one, like one of how many siblings you have?
6. So one of 6.
So you're one of 6, one of 5. Technically, you're still a baby.
Yeah, but they were already almost done school. None of them stopped school. Like my brother was in grade 12.
I was meant to say like Allah barik, like you're one of 6 of your parents' children. One of 5 of your parents' children finished the Qur'an.
Yeah.
Allah barik.
No, how many finished? You mean?
Yeah.
3.
3. Okay. Allah barik. Yeah.
But so 3
including you. No, 3 plus you. 4.
4. Yeah. 3 plus me. Yeah, 4. But
So I'll make you guys a means of
I mean.
That's just beautiful.
Hi. Sorry, you were about to say something?
I can't remember. But
sorry, no, you said they all finished. They were all towards the end of school, and your siblings are because they're older than you, right? You're the youngest out of them.
I was I'm the youngest out of all of them, and they all started when they're already done school, and they're like going on to university or like near done school. So none of them stopped school fully to like go to Qur'an like I did, because I was younger. Obviously, it was easier. And also like when you're talking about the struggles of parenthood, like I remember one of the mothers that I went to Duxi with, Qur'an class with. Her daughter used to come and she was like a year younger than me. And I remember one time, like her daughter was done by then, like it was years later. And she used to like talk to us about how hard it was, like waking her daughter up at 10, like she was like 10 years old, 11 years old, waking her up at 3 a.m. to like learn your Qur'an. You could tell like as a parent seeing your daughter that's tired, like pick up the Qur'an, try to learn it, like things that would break your heart, even though like it's a good thing, but like seeing her daughter tired, having to drag her to Duxi, come like learn. Her daughter loved it, but like it's kind of hard as a parent to see your child go through.
Especially like Somali parents or or African parents in general are just like they love to like.
You just want ease for your kids for the most part, right? Because it's like
that's why. Because the hours were kind of like really early, like
of course,
the really early hours. So,
I know that a lot of the times, like when we experience hardships, a lot of the times it can take us away from that journey, like right? Like a lot of the times, for in the journey of hifd or even al-huda, we experience a hardship and then it's like we shut down, you know?
Yeah.
So
take a break.
Yeah. And so for you, did you find that like mentally, like was it you had that drive because of your mother? Like after, because you knew that was something.
Yeah, near the end, that was the main thing, because I think my thought process at the time was like, how important like is the Qur'an if like Allah had to take away my mother for me to understand like the importance of it, you know? Because like I know for a fact if like my mom didn't pass away, I probably wouldn't have finished, because I literally shut myself off at that point. I was like, okay, I'm never gonna finish. Like my closest friends at the time, they were already done, and like I didn't feel like I needed to finish. I was like, okay, they're already done. They already added this program that I was in. So my friends went back to school and like I was the only one there, and now I'm going back to school. So like, why do I need to finish, you know? So it's like, alhamdulillah, like it really does make me happy that like I did lose my mom, because it's like, I took it more serious, you know? So, but before that, it was a loss of like motivation that kind of like was my hardship. It was like, I wasn't motivated. I didn't care about it.
But look at your mentality. I feel like people can easily think of like, it's a lot more easier to go down a black hole of, you know, Allah, you did this to me, Allah, why would I learn your book?
Yeah.
Whereas you thought like, how important is the Qur'an for Allah to have taken my mom away from me, like to show me the importance of it, you know? So
I literally, because I remember I was thinking, like when my mom did go to Hajj, or like she went to Somalia before that, but she went to Hajj, and that's how she ended up passing away. But she would call and she would ask us like,
I know
how you do. Like she would talk.
That's just deep. That's just deep. Too deep. Allah, may Allah have mercy on your mother and grant her Jannah al-Firdaus. I mean,
but like I remember she would call us and like she would ask how each person's doing, and it'd be like my brother should be like, oh, how are you? How's everything? How's the house? Whatever. Each person. And then when it's me, it's like, okay, so like what surah are you in now? Like where are you at? And I'm like, is there nothing else we could talk about? That was the time that I was kind of going through that loss of motivation, where I'm just like, every time I talk to her, it's always about the Qur'an. It's always like, where are you at? And it's like, I don't want to talk about that. But like, it's like when Allah did take away, it was like, oh, like that's the one thing she used to always like be on me, like on my case on, like, right? So it's like, let me just like finish that. And it's not like, let me just finish that for her and then end it there. It's like, I want that to be a part of my life, because that's when I feel the closest to her, you know? It's like, I'm holding the Qur'an, and like, this is what I spent my whole life learning. So it's like, I might as well continue it.
You know, one of the things I was just talking about this today. I have a relative who passed away, Aliyah Nasteha, and she, like I was just telling my friend today, I was telling her that your kids will be on like what you left them on, and that kind of sounds, obviously guidance is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it can come at any time, you know what I mean? But subhanAllah, like the effects of how you raise them really starts to show at that time of when they pass away, right? Like if you as a parent don't teach your child, like put Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala first, you know, go learn that Qur'an, because if not, like naturally your instinct was to go back to what it was that she pushed you towards, right? Yeah. And to just rely on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But a lot of the times, like during hardships, we're told like, oh, just cry it out. Like,
take your time.
Crying is okay. Like, take your time. Like, take it easy. But like, you resulted to what she enforced. I guess is what I'm trying to say. You know, and I think it's so important because it shows in so many ways. Like a lot of, like my cousins, for example, still have a really hard time with the passing mother. Yeah. And subhanAllah, it just shows like what was emphasized a lot. Like,
I feel it's that innocence, not to talk about you, because you're here. I feel like it was that creating an environment of like where like your child actually listens to you, because when you're in school, like who listens to their parents at that age, or who thinks like this is my mom's will at that age? But I feel like because you were in at least an environment where you weren't being like affected negatively, you know what I'm saying? Like, because at the end of the day, I feel like kids are blank canvases. Like it's whatever you write on them.
She wasn't tainted like by society or like secular education,
and the kids at school, or you know what the teachers are gonna. Even just not to get off topic, but I remember one girl, she went to school, like, it's a bit off topic, but just to say, like, these are things that can happen to you when you're in school, because school, like, your teachers are, like, in the position of your parents.
You're there longer than you are at home if you're not sleeping, you know?
Exactly. I remember once this, like, there was a thing on Twitter where they're, like, quote to, like, your worst moments with your teachers, or the worst thing a teacher said to you. Yeah. And one girl, she's like, a friend of mine, her brother passed away, and then she went to school. I don't know how old she was. Middle school, I think.
Yeah.
Or or grade school. I don't know. So she went to school, and then the teacher, and then everybody knew her brother died. And then she said, "Are you so and so sister?" And she goes, "Yeah." She goes, "Good riddance. He was such a nuisance," about her brother dying.
What?
Not to get off topic, but like, you know how vicious and terrible teachers can be, especially about Islam too. Like, you know, and just like, you can't control what a teacher does to your child. And teachers, I don't know about other countries in Ontario, they can never get fired. Bless their hearts.
That tweet also, someone else quote tweeted it saying, name experience, and one child was forced to eat a pork sandwich by their teacher
because they're like, I need to
erase what their parents taught them at home.
You need to experience things because you're
like, it's your choice. Like, you need to experience it.
You're being repressed, you're being oppressed. Let me experience, like, make you experience what you're not experiencing at home. So that's the thing that, and these teachers, I remember a teacher said to me one time, he said, unless, I remember he was talking in the class, not me personally, he said, do you want to know how this is in high school, he said, you want to know how, like, I can get fired? He said, I could literally not get fired unless I get caught with one of you on this table. Like, a principal walks in with me and you, I'm talking about female students on this table. Like, that's how, that's how, and look at just the vulgar comment. Of, like, their just union is crazy. But even just he making a vulgar comment like that, nothing's going to happen to me, you know? But unless, literally, he said, unless I'm caught in an act with one of you on this table, I'm not getting fired. So, and those are the people who have free reign over your children, their minds, especially at that young, tender age. So I feel like that's why you were able to, alhamdulillah, probably played a big part. And that's obviously, like you said, it's what your mother left you on. It's what, like, she, like, as well, Allah's not going to waste your mom's intentions. She didn't get to finish raising you. But it was her intention. What would she have done if she was alive? Alhamdulillah, right?
It's just, I think it's a huge lesson to parents to just not be afraid to go against the grain, you know? Honestly, because I know that pressure is so real to be like, because you know, even people, subhanAllah, a lot of Muslims have this idea that like, oh, Islamic schools, like, they just don't teach your kids properly, or even because, like, you know, the Islamic, I don't know if Hikmah was teaching other subjects or it was just Hifd, right?
No, we did books, like we did actual books, but like it usually be like between like winter breaks or like March breaks, times where other people come too, and we have like a longer break to focus on
Islamic stuff.
Yeah, Islamic stuff.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah.
But to be fair, a lot of Islamic schools are like a disaster.
Course. Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like, there is that issue of like.
They are.
You worked at one, you know.
I was at one for a while.
Yeah, so it's kind of like, no, we cannot even deny that. Yeah, it's a lot. The issue is that a lot of parents take their kids there to be disciplined, and they're just
no. It's literally like, wallahi, I don't even know how the government does that. I don't know what is going on.
Yeah. The table.
Oh, sorry.
Just because the mics are.
Yeah, I don't know how the government doesn't. So I don't mean to laugh, but just thinking about the stories, even stories you told me, like,
they should have like a decoy child. You know, the secret shopper. The government should start having secret shoppers.
Just throw them in there and they're like,
no, because Islamic schools, undercover babies need to start attending these Islamic schools, and
wired,
they
right?
will come home not knowing how to write their name.
One of them was at like 5 grades in one class.
No, yo.
I could write a book.
But you know what though? Okay, so this is a question.
It's not funny. It's terrible.
But would you guys say that environment, as like toxic as it may be, do you guys?
No, you know what I will say.
I will say this though. I don't think the parents are purposely putting their children in Islamic school, knowing what is going on in that establishment. Because if they walked in there, they would probably like take their children out of it.
I think the only reason we know is because either we went there or we worked there or we saw it, you know?
So but I will say...
so I don't think they're doing it purpose. I just want to put that out there. In Toronto, the parents are not knowingly putting their children in a school where there's grade 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 in one classroom, with an unqualified teacher who doesn't even have an Ontario license to teach. I don't think they're aware of that.
You know,
or doesn't show up.
I will. That's true. Right?
But that's the problem.
But the parents, it's involvement that's missing.
That's the whole.
No, but that's you don't even know.
Walk upstairs or wherever it is. You know what I mean? You walk into the classroom and you can see that there's, you know, a 6th grader in the same class as a 3rd grader. Like, that's obvious.
Your child will tell you.
But you gotta go in there. You gotta be involved. You gotta
and that's how they're gonna start fixing up, is because if they know the parents are involved and they're paying for this, they're gonna try like teaching them to the best of their abilities, you know. like, I really don't think, like, I think the question you had was that do you think it's better or like worse?
Yeah, like, so
despite it, but I think it depends on the Islamic school, because a lot of them are very like, the thing is, in this age of TikTok, you can't control kids.
I went to a really good Islamic school in terms of like education, but I feel like, I don't know, like, I feel like they mix culture and religion a lot.
No,
like,
they, and the students too, like, kids are grown and they bring other stuff to, especially today, like the internet, like, makes it so that nothing is like hidden from your kids.
And it's more confusing because, like, if a child is going to Islamic school and they're seeing these things, they think it's more normal because they're like, okay, these people are Muslim and they're doing this. So it's like, at least for like public schools, they can say, okay, these are non-Muslims and they're Gala, they've never been taught this, you know?
Someone to blame.
Yeah.
Because it's just a blame game. Why does my child suck?
No, but I know we know a lot of kids who go off the rails who went to Islamic school, off the rails in ways you would not even like think. Like, they like totally opposite to atheism or this or that, having gone to Islam. So obviously at the end of the day, Hidayah is in Allah's hands, but I feel like there's fundamental issues in the tarbiyah of children. So adopting the Western style of teaching and then expecting that to go through to Islam.
So do you have any just practical steps that a person can take to memorize the Qur'an? It's like some people say, like, okay, read the same ayah 7 times and then move on to the next one, like, until, or whatever, however many times, just to get it down, and then move on to the next one and then read the whole page. Like, what was your method, or what method would you recommend?
Firstly, I remember asking my teacher this question, like, later on in my memorization journey, because I was like, it was getting hard. But I think, like, learning each ayah, like, if you're doing a page, for example, you learn the first ayah, get it down, like, you memorize it. Then the second ayah, you memorize it, and you add the 2 together, and you, like, test yourself. And then you keep adding 1, and then you test yourself. That's how I used to do it. But I know another thing is waking up after Fajr. And I know everyone says that, but, like, or, like, before Fajr. Like, I learned that, like, near the end when I was about to finish, and it made it so easy. Like, I would finish, like, 2 pages really fast because your brain is, like, fresh, and, like, it's just so much more easier. So I would say, like, if someone's trying to memorize the Qur'an, getting it done in the morning, like, when you're fresh, like, after Fajr or, like, right before Fajr, it makes it so much more easier. Like, so much more easier. And honestly, like, if anything is ever hard, knowing that you're getting, like, double the reward. So it's, like, trying to keep motivated and, like, and not lose hope.
Okay. So, Jazakallah khair for that.
Oh, yeah.
Honestly, here is the stories that have just myself, I'm, like, taking so many benefits from it. So we will start with Nasteha's journey.
Okay, bismillah. So, technically, I started when I was, like, I remember when we lived, like, I moved to where my mom lives now when I was 7. I remember before that, when I was, like, 4 or 5, we used to go to a duksi. I remember vividly, like, listening to Qur'an in the mornings through, like, those cassettes and stuff like that. I remember, I don't remember who, I think it was Minshawi back then, yeah. That's why I used to think Minshawi was Somali.
I used to think Sheikh Hudayfi was Somali because it'd always be playing in our house.
Yeah.
All the time.
Is it Hudayfi or is it Minshawi?
I think we might have been Hudayfi.
I think Hudayfi, yeah.
All Somali parents.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, literally, I thought he was Somali because he was just the guy who played in my house. I thought it was there, like, in the... Anyways, so basically, so I used to listen to that in the morning. So I remember, I'm pretty sure I was in Duxie back then, but I don't know how far I got because then we moved. And then when I was, like, how old was I? I don't remember how old I was, but I was young. And then I went to... I want to say I was in, like, grade 4 or 5. 6? I don't think I was in grade 6. Maybe grade 4 or 5, around there, which is, like, 9, 10. I went to, I won't say his name, bless his heart. I went to Ma'alin. He's, I think from Afghanistan. And his wife, him and his wife had a whatchamacallit, they had a duxie running out of, like, first they did it out of their house, and then they moved to, like, they did it in, I think, a masjid, and then they moved, like, now I think he went back to his house. But when I was going there, he had, like, this space above the masjid. You know what it was? It was what became Bukhari Center now. But Bukhari Center is gone, I think.
So it's like a plaza?
You know Bukhari Masjid or whatever?
Is it the one on, like, Western Lawrence?
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's
it's like a plaza.
Yeah, it's like a plaza. It's like above, like, top level of the plaza, okay? Mm-hmm. So basically, he used to teach us, and what happened was his wife she taught Al-Fatah, and then he taught Qur'an. So I learned this little blue book. I think they wrote it, to be honest with you, because I never saw it again. It's like, it's not like printed nicely or anything like that. It was just on like little blue book on typical. It was just a little blue book on typical paper. We have a baby. Our baby woke up on Badak, so hear some squeals, and some noises, and he's just responding to our stories. So basically, so I remember I learned that blue book, and I will say, so I think that was the reason that, alhamdulillah, the way she taught me, I don't know what she did. I don't know what was so special about that blue book, but my sister was in the same class too, so qadar it'll connect later what I'm talking about, but basically, I finished there, and then I went on to Qur'an. I don't think that I did much like him. I probably memorized like the first like hizb of Amma, like first like 10 pages of Amma maybe. I don't even remember what I did then. But then eventually I left at Duxi, and then I went to another ma'alim who was teaching in a different masjid on Western Road. So we went to him, and there was 2 different classes basically. So my sister was in the older sister, the girls. Basically he divided you by if you hit puberty, which is so strange to think back about. If you hit puberty as a female, you all know how you hit puberty, then you were in the sisters class, the older ones class. And if you didn't hit puberty, then you were in the younger girls class. But obviously, so the thing is, there was a group of us who were like older, I guess, in that sense. Like we were like, there was like 4 of us who were like in middle school, and then the rest of it was just little kids. So then the 4 of us, I remember I made really good friends then. And that was when I moved to the new area that my mom lives in now. And it was a really like, even till now, like the school that I went to, was it was in a Jewish neighborhood, so the majority of the kids were Jewish. And then when I went to high school, the majority of kids were just regular white kids. So though that was like the only taste, I guess, of Muslim friends that I had was those people in that Duxi. And that's why like on Eid, like those are the people I would hit up. And like sometimes I used to go to the mosque when there was a class or 2, and I would meet a few friends that way. So on Eid, like that's who I tried to hang out with, because it's just me, my mom, my sister. My sister had her own friends, obviously. And so, but I remember even though when I got to high school and I didn't really chill. Like I stopped going to Duxi when I went to high school. I just like went to school on Eid because there was like nothing to do. I didn't have any Muslim friends. I was like, I might as well go see my friends in school than go rather than stay home or just go to prayer with my mom. So in middle school, I went to this Duxi, but it was a joke. I remember I was on Amma for Duxi is not a joke. I was the joke, obviously. Abasa was for 4 months. Abasa was 1 page. Amma, page and a half. I was there for at least 6 months. It was just kiki. I went there to kiki. I went there to joke, play with my friends, khalas, leave. And then I remember one time, like, but I will say, alhamdulillah, I was always like respectful. I was never disrespectful. Like I was, that's why I guess frustrated with teachers, because I was like a good kid, but I was just a disaster. And then eventually, like they realized, because they have log, but I guess he didn't really pay attention. And then they realized in my log that like, what is this, 6 months of Amma? Like you have to get it together. And then I remember like one time the Duxi Ma'alin, he got real with me. He like separated me from my friends, and he was like, yo, like you're not like these kids. Stop acting dumb. Like actually do the work. You can do it. And then what happened was that Duxi was a bit crazy. So I remember KBW was having a conference, and then we wanted to go to that conference, and he said, anybody who goes to the conference and doesn't come to Duxi, you're kicked out of Duxi. And I was like, all right, it is what it is. So we just left that Duxi, and then that was like grade 8, around then, I think grade 8 summer. And then I just said, I just never went back to Duxi. I was like, I'm starting high school, and I just told my mom, I don't want to be starting Duxi, right? So she said, okay, you know what can I do? You're in high school, you're 14 now, you're a grown person. Like she tried her best to take me to Duxi growing up. Like, I think majority of my time, like in growing up, I was in some type of Duxi. Like you said, it was typical Duxi hopping, one Duxi here, maybe a man came to your house, Even
if you don't take it seriously, you're still in Duxi.
It's, alhamdulillah, I think that's like a beautiful part of Somali culture, is like memorizing the Qur'an is a part of your culture.
I was going to say that. Yeah. That's definitely something that you see that's so common.
Yeah.
When I hear you guys telling, or just anyone telling Duxi stories, I can never relate.
Yeah.
You guys have endless stories. This message did this to me. I got beat up this way. This happened over here. I'm like, I don't have none. I was at home.
I
wish I could relate to that.
Yeah, I get you. But some of those like were a bit traumatic. Those stories.
So traumatic.
I watched that one Ma'alin from the next Ma'alin I was going to. He stepped on a girl's whole head. And she stuck her tongue out when he turned around. Another one he threw through the wall. A'udhu billah. Like I was. Alhamdulillah, like I don't know if jail is the solution for these people, but at the same time, I don't know how the government did not know about what I remember stuff.
There are some people who are messed up.
One time I remember there was a musalla. It was like glass. This thing, right? There's like a glass window, and then we prayed, and then like we would have to pray behind the guys, obviously. So then the men left. I remember like this white guy was passing by. Everybody just ran to the window. It's like, help us! Well, we had no home training. We probably made Islam look so bad. He did not help us. He did not call nobody. Allah about to keep minding his own business. He kept moving.
Not my problem.
While they're all begging, help us. Well, imagine all these little Somali kids with their brightly colored hijabs.
Baby hijabs.
Pink, purple, turquoise, white.
Oh my God.
Oh my, well, that's such bad da'wah. That's the thing too, these Duxies did not teach, that's the thing I like, that's my only quarrel about these Duxies, there's no tarbiyah. It's just trying to wrangle these kids all day. And I feel like that's why a lot of times, remember you asked a question about Islamic school, I feel like the biggest thing about Islamic school is that your kids get affected by other kids, right? And not everybody is the same as your kid, and not everybody has proper home training. And a lot of people just send their kids there when they don't actually do proper tarbiyah of their kids, and they don't teach their kids the Qur'an, they don't teach their kids the deen, they expect the school or Duxi to do that for them, which is why, if it's not at home, you're really, you're wasting your time, wallahi, and I feel like you're wasting your money a lot of the times. If you're not doing anything at home, and your kid's coming home, and you're telling your kid to learn the Qur'an, but you yourself are not learning the Qur'an. I remember one Duxi that I went to, the ma'alin, the one adad, adad means uncle. One adad, he had 6 kids, and he used to sit in the Duxi with them, and he had his own asha. And he had his own, and so he was in the Duxi too, and imagine, obviously you're gonna act straight if your dad's sitting beside you the entire time, you know? So Allah barak. Anyway, so back to what I was saying, middle school, there's this crazy, it was just every new day, like I said, it was an adventure. It was just fun and games, it was just meeting my friends on the weekend, no asha memorized, no nothing. Even I remember the other man that I went to, the Afghani one, he was really, really old. I think I mentioned this in another episode, he was really, really old. So every time I went to him, he would be like, okay, come back next time, 4 pages of Baqarah. Driving up, I'm on what teeny was it? 4 pages. I don't know where Baqarah is on the book. Anyway, I said, Bismillah. Come back the next day, I'd read Lam yakun alladhina kafaru. And he would be like, MashaAllah, because he's so old, he forgot everything, right? He did not know he was signed. He did not know what I brought.
Oh my God.
Anyway, so basically, so it was just I was in Jazama my whole life. I was in Jazama my whole life. So I think the highest that I got before I quit Duxi was half of Halata al Insan. Which is why I have some issues with that surah, because I just said I'm also going to start on La Aqsim. I'm not going to Halata al Insan was really difficult for me, so I just started La Aqsim. So to this day, I'm struggling with Halata al Insan because, anyways, so basically, I finished with this Duxi. Well, I was removed. I was kicked out from this. I was told to not come back. I was going to the conference. So then, flash forward, I already talked about our practicing stories. Sorry. We already started talking my hands. we finished our practicing stories. So I started practicing when I was 16, grade 10, going to grade 11. So it was the December of grade 10. The December of grade 10, and then going on to the next year, which is grade 11. And then that's when I started practicing. And the first thing that my mom said to me when I started practicing was pray. Or when I wanted to start practicing, she said pray. And when I started praying, the first thing she said was, okay, now you have to go to Duxi. You have to, or she didn't say you have to, but she told me okay, the next step is I don't know anything, obviously, right? So she said, okay, now you need to learn Qur'an. And I remember she took me to, and she kept saying okay, when you learn the Qur'an, the most important thing is tajweed. So yeah, my mom kept saying this word to me, tajweed. Whenever you learn the Qur'an, it doesn't matter if you, it doesn't matter if you learn the Qur'an if you don't learn tajweed. And I was like, I'm not understanding you. I'm not understanding the words that are coming out of your mouth. What? What is that? And then eventually, I remember the first man that she took me to was he's from Sierra Leone, Allah Barak. He's really, really old. He graduated from University of Medina a long time ago, I think. Yeah, so he opened up a little masjid near us, and then I was his first student, and then another girl who was with me. And I remember I was reading. I didn't know nothing about nothing, but the way the girl beside me was reading was she was reading so fast, and I said that can't be right. I said, no, and he's not saying nothing to her. So I said, how is she reading like that? And he's not saying anything to her. What about me? I don't know. Now I'm definitely shaking it, and he's not going to correct me. So I remember after I think 1 month or 1 to 3 months, I don't remember, with him, I said to my mom, this is not going to work because I don't know if he's correcting me. I don't know. I don't know how to read properly, maybe. And alhamdulillah, astaghfirullah, backtracking a little bit. When I remember, I used to do it, I always say, comments oh, you guys, you probably forgot even how to read the Qur'an. I said, okay, let me see. So I opened it, and I read it, and I was still perfectly, alhamdulillah, even though I didn't open the Mus'haf for maybe almost 4 years. I opened it, and I was still able to read from where I left off, right? So it wasn't a problem for me, alhamdulillah. So, I feel if it wasn't for that, it would have been a lot more difficult. I was able straight away when I started practicing, I already knew how to read because of the way. And I feel that's why it's so important when you're starting to have, a proper foundation and to properly learn how to read, because if you don't, then it's going to make everything difficult.
And if it is difficult, you get more ajr for it.
Yeah.
But like it is easier to start with something.
Exactly. But if you, I feel like it's hard. If you learn wrong, it's way harder to unlearn than it is to like correct yourself, right? You know,
so you have like a lot of lahn mistakes.
Exactly. So if you learn how to read the Qur'an wrong, then you're going to spend, like, it's more difficult to unlearn and then relearn than it is to just start fresh and learn properly the first time.
Would you say you guys learned more through listening, or just reading the text and then just kind of getting your own?
I feel like before you
listening to like a sheikh read it, you mean?
Yeah.
I feel like you start off like that.
Yeah, because I feel like if you try to learn by yourself, you're going to learn it wrong. Even if it's not completely wrong, you still have some things in there that it's going to be hard to fix later once you already like solidify it.
Yeah.
But listening to a sheikh you kind of have to.
Yeah.
Especially when you're younger, or like when you're starting out, the tajweed rules are going to stress you out. To even like before like learning the rules, or this is 2 counts, but it's better if you just hear and you imitate.
That's the thing. I learned the Qur'an like until I finished. Like I never had a proper tajweed class, but because we learned with tajweed and like the teacher would read it and we just used to copy the way he used to read it. Till now, like I don't properly know the words for tajweeds. Like I can't tell you the rulings on it, but I know it by looking at it. Yeah. Like I can tell you where you can connect and where you can't and stuff like that. But it was because I was listening to it like that.
So I feel like that's just, if you like, it's not obligatory for you to learn the rules, but you have to just know how to read. And I feel like the best way to know how to read is to listen and imitate. So, and before I even started this new duksi, the first, like when I started practicing the imam from Sierra Leone. And I remember he was just so cool, subhanAllah. Like I'm happy like I had that experience of like, I was like, he's like, oh, yeah, I went to University of Medina. I was like, what is University of Medina? And I was like,
it's in Medina, might be something.
It's in Medina. You know, I didn't know Medina was like. I didn't even know. SubhanAllah, I was shaking it in every aspect. And he gave me this, because I was the only student. Like, I used to talk to him and I used to ask him like Islamic questions because I didn't know anything. I used to be like, I used to like to pray with my eyes closed, right? I still do if I could, but I like praying with my eyes closed. And he's like, you can't do that. And I was just like, why? So because you just can't. That's not how you're supposed to pray. And I didn't get it. And he just used to taught me a lot of things. And like we used to, like, one time it was just me that time. And he's really, 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 really old. Allahumma barik. Well, I don't want to say really, really old, but he was like white, and he's like, not white, but white hair and white beard and things like that. And he used to just give me like this Kenyan tea, which was, to this day, wallah, I'm looking for that tea. It was pink. So it was pink. It was pink, and it was just the most delicious tea I've ever had in my entire life, and I'll just never find it again. But maybe I should go back and ask him. But I'm just ashamed since I left his succeed. But anyway, so it's just him like gently, like alhamdulillah, like Allah gives you certain experiences whenever you need them, right? So just starting off, having him just as an elder give me advice, teach me, and I automatically respected him and looked up to him. And because he studied university, and it wasn't like he had no knowledge. Like, you know, a lot of times people learn the Qur'an, but they don't have other knowledge necessarily, right? So they're not in the position to teach you other things. Alhamdulillah, he had Islamic background. He's an imam. He had qualification to teach me other things in the deen. So I just really, like, he had a good effect on me, alhamdulillah. So then after that, but then like I said, tajweed wise, I wasn't very, but when I first started practicing, I Googled Qur'an. Alhamdulillah, and the first thing that came up was Khalil Hasri. So qadrullah, ya Allah. To this day, everybody knows, like, that was my
start.
That was my dog, Khalil Hasri. Like, Allah irham, like, yeah, so much ajr for me, inshallah. And even as the surahs got larger, I stopped listening to him because I was trying to memorize faster, and you know, Khalil Hasri is like 40 minutes for one surah, right? So I didn't have time to, and I'm an auditory learner, so I like to listen to it a lot, memorize it. But in the beginning, for at least like the first 5 juz, it was just Khalil Hasri. And those 5 juz are just, like, I could just be imam. I want to jazz in just those 5 juz. I could be imam. I could lead you in Ramadan with
just those 5 juz. There's some teachers that just tell you, because for us, we were told, just listen to Khalil Hasri. Like, we'd always be told, no other sheikh, just Khalil Hasri. And it was obviously because he reads slow and it's easier to memorize from him.
Exactly. And his tajweed is amazing, right? So basically, after I finished with that ma'alin, and I asked my mom to find a different ma'alin, and then basically she, there's a sister who just graduated. It's so crazy, like how things are just learned. She finished the hikmah. The Deqa. She finished the hikmah.
Yeah.
So she started her own sister's duksi, like an older sister's duksi, older girl's duksi for like, I was the youngest, and I was like 17 then, and then the ones older than like 20 to like 24, 25. So she started a duksi for the older sister, so then I went to that duksi. I started that duksi, alhamdulillah. My mom found out about it, so I started it. I joined it. It was in the mornings on Saturday and Sunday, and that's when I got like really into like Qur'an properly. So I started from Nas again, and she was like really strict on tajweed, and she was teaching us like tuhfat al-atfal, even though it was in the beginning, and like a lot of students in the class didn't take it seriously, and a lot of majority of students.
Explain the
tuhfat al-atfal is like it's called Gift to the Children. It's a poem in tajweed. Tajweed meaning like. This tajweed is a science.
The correct way.
Yeah. Tajweed is like basically what you like the science that deals with like how to read correctly and the rules that dictate how to recite the Qur'an properly.
How to pronounce words.
Exactly. When to hold things. Basically how you pronounce the Qur'an. Like I don't explain it, but how like that's the science that you learn when you want to learn how to read the Qur'an properly. You learn tajweed. Tuhfat is like a poem. It's a short poem. Like it codified or it has the rules of tajweed or a few of the rules of tajweed in that poem. Yeah. And it's meant for children, but obviously, children back then are not like children today. So, you learn it and you memorize it and then you memorize the rules automatically. So she taught it. And the thing is, she taught us as well Jazariya. She didn't just teach us, and Jazariya is like a higher level text. She didn't teach us necessarily the poem Jazariya, but she taught us all the rules in Jazariya, or the majority of the rules in Jazariya. So Sifat al-huruf, Makharij al-huruf, things like that, like where the letters come out from in your like your whole mouth to your throat, where exactly the letters come from, what characteristics do certain letters have, what's the difference, blah blah. So she had a whole class, and like I fell in love with tajweed because of that class. And a lot of the students in the class ended up dropping out to the point where I became the oldest student. Even though I started as the youngest student, I became the oldest student. And then I remember she vowed to not teach older girls anymore. Yeah, she doesn't want to teach. But she vowed to not teach older girls anymore because just like a lot of students, everybody dropped out. Like I said, I ended up becoming the youngest student. I'm the oldest student, and then she just started teaching children. And so she taught me how to read the Qur'an properly. So with her, the thing I loved about that was I had like a routine. So I was in high school, and what I would do is on Friday, I finished 5 juz with her. So I didn't go very far necessarily in that term, but I learned a lot with her. Islamic sciences, like I think that was my gateway drug into Islamic sciences was tajweed. So I started with tajweed. I fell in love with just the style of tajweed. So she would teach me a bit, but I would go home and self-study so much. Like I would be up on that and read with tajweed.com. I don't think that website's around anymore, but there's also About Tajweed, which is what she recommended to me. I wrote About Tajweed.com. But I didn't like the style of the website. I really like reading with tajweed.com, so I would just be sitting here like up in the middle of the night learning. Like I was just so obsessed with tajweed. It was like, but I didn't realize that what I was like in love with was the concept of like ilm and seeking knowledge and things like that. But that was the first taste that I had was through tajweed. Alhamdulillah, and I feel like in that way Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made it like that was tarbiyah from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and I started with what you call it like tajweed is considered it's called like the easiest science, or it's called like ilm al-atfal, like like the science that's for children, because children can learn. And the thing about tajweed is it doesn't change. The Qur'an doesn't change at the end of the day. That's why it's the easiest science, because
that was one of my first courses that I completed after Al-Hada. After I finished Al-Hada, my friends and I from Al-Hada, we joined another Al-Hada tajweed course, and it was amazing. Sister Ambreen.
Oh, mashallah. Yeah, so I feel like that's an amazing thing to start with when you're trying to seek knowledge, is tajweed, because it's simple. It's not like you're learning complex things, but it's so important, because if you don't have it, you're not reading the Qur'an properly. If you're not reading the Qur'an properly, what are you really doing, right? So that was my first experience with tajweed with seeking knowledge, was that tajweed course. After that, I ended up finishing 5 juz with her. I was going a lot slower than I would go on later, and I feel like that's why in the beginning, I feel like that's why that class was important, because in those 5 juz, I built my memory. Like memory is like a muscle. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know how like you can't just go to the gym and start lifting heavy weights? Yeah. So when you're starting to memorize, memory is a muscle as well. So you can't just go and expect to memorize 10 pages of the Qur'an. You have to start off small. So I think that Dixie was really, because number one, she taught me tajweed. She was really strict on tajweed. It didn't matter how long I took, which is something that I learned, that not every ma'alim is cool with that. Taking like 1 hour to read like just a bit, or taking like 30 minutes to read maybe like just a few pages, right? Not every ma'alim is cool with that, because it takes a lot of time. But alhamdulillah, that was my first experience. Like I started from Nas with her, and then I went all the way to Jathia with her, which is like 5 juz. And then I took it very slow. I don't know how long I was with her, how many years, but I wasn't like the most that I ever read to her was a page or a page and a half. And the way I would learn is like I had to see Saturday and Sunday. So the whole week I would like divide the page up. And I remember this is how I started learning Arabic as well, is because when I got to Surah An-Nur, I started to write on my mushaf the translation. So that duksi, just because it took a slow, because it didn't get a lot of pressure, but because I was learning such like important things, it set a foundation, right? Alhamdulillah. So after I finished the 5 juz, what happened? I got married. When I finished 5 juz, I got married. And then when I got married, so I actually switched duksis up because when I got with that duksi, a lot of young kids came, and I just ended up becoming a kabir Somali culture. It's not Somali, but a kabir in like duksi culture is like the leader. So you're like a teacher's assistant. Mm-hmm. So for me being a kabir, I wasn't getting much attention. So for me, I was like, I don't know like a few juz. I don't know much, Alhamdulillah, because my tajweed was really good, she made me the kabir. Yeah. But at the end of the day, I was like, I want to like have more attention on me. I know that sounds terrible. I was like, I don't know nothing to be a teacher. I can't be a teacher yet, Yeah. So after like that, I switched to another duksi that was in the same masjid around the same time. And I was like the oldest. I think I was the oldest student in the duksi at that time, but I didn't really feel it because I was still like 18. And with him, alhamdulillah, like I didn't get a lot of attention, but I wasn't really made a kabir, I will say, alhamdulillah. In that, at least like I just read what I had to read. What helped as well is that he took me like a lot of times in ma'alim, and that's the thing too, is because she taught me proper tajweed, whenever I would recite to a ma'alim, I would really impress them, so they would give me attention. Get it? So they would want to teach you more. That's the thing with teachers, they're really receptive when you know, or when you show interest or you know what you're doing, they want to teach you more. Sometimes she would have to go somewhere, so she would leave me with a different ma'alim, or the ma'alim next door, and he would be like, okay, your tajweed is really good, focus on the ra, and they would give you more information. Like, like listen to this reciter because he has his ra is very like, he does it very precise and you learn the rules of ra properly. And then, so the next ma'am that I went to, like he, alhamdulillah, like I said again, because my tajweed was good, or because they thought like, from what they saw that I knew the Qur'an well enough, he used to ask if he could recite to me. So when he was practicing to leave salah early to tarawih, things like that.
That's so amazing.
Yeah, really.
That's so cute.
Yeah, no, my face is gonna be so funny. They're all like, oh.
We're gonna make a meme out of you, don't worry.
So that's gonna be a meme. I was like, oh.
Anyway, so he would just kabah his thing to me. I'm sure he did to other students too, but my friends anyways. And other ma'alims too would stop me and be like, and I remember even when I was applying for the job at the masjid, one of the ma'alims is a board member. He used to listen to me recite, and in the middle of the interview, he goes, and she knows tajweed, the Qur'an. And I was like, alhamdulillah, like that guy. And then everybody's like, wow, mashallah. In our community, they respect the Qur'an. So that, that helped as well. So just like her teaching me that science in the small time that she did, like it opened doors for me. Yeah. Exactly. It was really important. So fast forward, I get married, and then I'm not gonna lie, this is very bad, but I was too shy to go back to the man that I was at because I was the oldest. So I can't be a married woman sitting in front of a man. I just felt weird being a married woman sitting in front of a not sitting in front of a man, astaghfirullah. I felt weird being a married woman sitting in this class in front of a man, being little kids. Because before I used to think of myself, I'm a kid too. Like, what's the problem? But now I'm like, I'm a woman now. Like all these stereotypes. I was like, I'm a grown woman now. I'm married. I have a husband. I can't be sitting here. I got married when I was like 18, right? So after 1 year, Allah forgive me, I think 9 months of not being in duksi. I started duksi when I was pregnant. And I got pregnant 3 months after I got married. So maybe 4 or 5 months after that. So maybe 8 months in total. Around 7-8 months after I got married is when I restarted duksi. If you guys remember episode 2, we talked about how we all met, blah blah. Sister Umar, she's the one who started the duksi, or she was looking for a duksi, she started the duksi, blah blah. We met our female ma'alin, etc etc. And then I remember I was in duksi, and then I gave birth while I was in duksi. I gave birth when I was in Surah Shura, I want to say. Shura. I gave birth when I was in Shura. After 2 weeks, I went back to duksi, alhamdulillah, and then
2 weeks
because my daughter was in the NICU, so okay. So then I was about to go back. I don't even have a baby, so I was like, But then right when I was about to go back, she came out, so I just used to take her to duksi because babies in the beginning just sleep. Babies in the beginning, they just sleep, alhamdulillah, right? So she just used to come, she used to just plop her down, let her sleep, and then I would read Ma'ashar. And that was my story, and then same ma'alim till today, technically.
Instead of saying that, at what point did you see, because a lot of the times people will memorize a certain amount of juz, and then they kind of notice that it becomes easier in the sense that they're able to do more in one sitting quicker than what they would obviously in the beginning, right? So at what point, in the Qur'an, did you guys see that, I'm able to like pick up the pace, and it's becoming like easier for me.
Like I said, when I finished those 5 juz, I wasn't even like, you know how you were trying to push yourself? My mama was not trying to push me. She just said like it was always no more than 1.5 pages. So there was none of that like testing myself, you know, bring more, and then that stress. It was just the same routine for those first 5 juz. And I feel like that was really important for me personally. Like just not even the same routine. It's like whatever I can, I would bring, you know? And alhamdulillah, it was easy, whatever, because I used to break it up in like Monday I would read 3 lines, and the next day I would do 3 lines. Like I used to write in my thing like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday is how I would divide the page. And then by Friday I would just hit it, and then Saturday morning I'd read to my mom. And then, you know, I will say another thing is my mom used to be really on top of me, so I never missed Duksi the same way like my mom is really big on not missing school and not missing Duksi. So unless you had a real excuse, I don't even remember ever missing Duksi, to be honest with you. And so if it wasn't for her, I probably wouldn't even show up to Duksi. Probably wouldn't even know Ma'ashad. But the first 5 juz, I didn't push myself. I wasn't trying to memorize a lot or anything like that. I just was doing what I was supposed to be doing. When I got to my Ma'al and Duksi, I was pregnant. So I don't know what it was about pregnancy, but I was an elephant, Allah Barak. That's the animal that I memorized.
Okay, for sure I thought you were someone else. But
yeah, I can imagine how that sounds. But not elephant like in body shape, I meant like elephant.
Memory, right?
That's
like their memory got better.
That's what they say, right?
Yeah, they remember things.
So I used to swallow surahs. Even I had a hadith class too, so I used to literally open the book for the hadith. I closed it. Sorry, let me move back. I used to open for the hadith. I read it. I closed it. I had memorized. Allah Mubarak, Ya Allah. Grant me the hifd again.
That's one thing. Even when I met you, that's one thing I admired about you. You know your memorization skills. Allah Mubarak.
Because you remember when I was pregnant, pregnancy was something. It was just something else. Subhanallah. So I used to just like, and that's. I remember I was literally. I don't want to I don't want to degrade myself, but I was like a whale back then because I was like 3rd trimester. It was hot, so I used to just lay around everywhere. So you would think like in that state you wouldn't be able to memorize, but I would just like laying down in the living room with the AC like facing towards me. I would just open my mouth, close it, I memorized it. And the thing is too, around there I realized, well, I guess I always knew to an extent, but I learned that I'm an auditory learner. And that's how I learned best, right? Is when I listen to it a lot and then I read it, I memorized it. So I feel like that's the biggest thing about memorizing like properly is when you get into your own groove, when you realize what works for you.
When you learn your niche, basically.
Then it's smooth sailing. Before that, it's figuring out how do I maximize my memorization or whatever.
I'm at that stage. I'm still figuring it out.
No, it took me a long time to figure it out too, to be honest with you. Even today, I still don't know, like, if I was on my own with the mushaf, how I would memorize it. I'm still shaking, but if I just need to know that I need to listen to it first for a while and then I memorize it. So
for you, Aliyah, would you say it's the same?
I think I'd listen to it and then I would like read it myself and then I would repeat it enough to memorize it. And another thing we were kind of taught, like what I learned over time was that if you read out loud, it makes it easier. So like if you kind of whisper the Qur'an or like you read low, it's harder for it to get in your head instead of if you read it out loud and you hear yourself, right? You hear yourself, repeat it, and it'll get in your head. That's how I used to memorize. But I would hear a sheikh beforehand just to know if I'm reading something correctly or not. But yeah, that's true.
And I guess in Duksi, she was like, that's the first time I was ever pushed to memorize a lot. And then I was like pitted against, not negatively, but other students who are near me. So we're always in a race. So that's when I started to memorize. But I regret that, to be honest with you. I wish I never did that. Like I used to...
Like you wish you didn't compete?
I wish I never did that. I wish I just memorized the same way I was doing 1 page a week, honestly, because I remember at one point I brought her Furqan, Noor, and Shu'ara one weekend. It was not even normal. Alhamdulillah. Like, because I listened to those surahs. I remember I sat and I called her, because I was racing. I'm so competitive. That's just one of my qualities. I'm really competitive. So I remember I called her. I'd be like, I was just trying to beat the other students before I got to 16. So I remember I called her Shu'ara. And I said, here's a little bit of Noor. Here's some Furqan. And then I went and I read Furqan one time, right?
Yeah.
So that was like, I was competing. So in that sense, I could, like, even right now, it's easy to memorize a lot, but... am I going to retain that? Is it going to become into long-term memory? And it's not even that it can't, because long-term memory is not about how much you memorize. It's about putting it into long-term memory. So your brain, the way it works is when you learn something, it stays in your short-term memory, and then when you show your brain that you're using this thing a lot and you need it, it'll put it in your long-term memory. But it's not possible to put Shu'ara, Furqan, and Noor. I don't have that time to put it into my long-term memory. So if you memorize something, you have to know that you have the time to review that thing before it goes away. You have like a time limit before it starts to go away, right? So I think that with memorizing a lot, that it's not hard. For me, it was never hard to memorize a lot. But the thing is, do I have the time to take care of that thing that I memorized?
Yeah.
You agree?
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
If you guys could give one piece of advice to someone on the journey, what would it be?
I would say one thing that helped me a lot was my personal dua, like constantly making dua for Allah to make it easy for me, for Allah to make a way for me, because there's a lot of times where you just find yourself on this journey alone and you're back against the wall, not knowing what to do. I would say it's kind of, for me, it was a lonely journey. So that's the only thing that I could rely on was my own, like my dua, because I didn't know anyone at the time. Yeah, so I was really lonely at the time throughout that journey, beginning. So I would say dua and staying consistent. That's like another major thing. So if you stop, just keep on going.
I would say that like you should surround yourself with people who are also on the same journey as you. Because I know Samira, for example, said that you felt lonely on like the journey of like you learning the Qur'an. And a lot of people in that like sort of predicament would probably lose hope and like give up, or would easily be influenced to like leave it off, right? So I guess surrounding yourself with people who are also learning the Qur'an as a motivation too. Like I know you also said that competing didn't work for you, but for some people that I know, it really did. Like they would compete and their memorization was like really good too, where they would compete and they would still like remember it. And that was a way of them learning Qur'an, so that they would compete with each other. And we know that like competing in khair is a really good thing. So yeah, I guess having people around you that also are memorizing the Qur'an. And renewing your intentions, and making sure that you're doing it for the sake of Allah.
So my advice would be just don't be stagnant in your Qur'an. Not necessarily like in the sense of learn like, just memorize as much as you can, because that's not you necessarily growing in the Qur'an, right? It's just don't be stagnant in that. Just always want to do better for yourself. So if you're learning the Qur'an, okay, are you learning the Qur'an? Alhamdulillah. Okay, now start thinking about memorizing the Qur'an. If you're memorizing, start thinking about learning to read. Start thinking about learning to see it, and just always level up when it comes to the Qur'an, and just don't stay in one place, because your iman is going to feel that, right? If you stay in one place, then you as a person, like in your Qur'an, are going to stay in one place, and the Qur'an is a treasure chest. The Qur'an is a treasure chest. It's always giving you, but if you're not willing to learn, like that's the thing. The Qur'an and the Sunnah are like the asl of the deen, right? It's the foundations of the religion. And like Qur'an mainly is a foundational text. It's the foundation of Islam. The different sciences that you learn are like keys to unlock the treasures of the Qur'an. So you learn Arabic to unlock the treasures of the Qur'an, and the more you learn Arabic, the more you're gonna get closer to the Qur'an. And like even I remember I was listening to a lecture, and they said if you're not the only person who's going to truly appreciate the Qur'an, like truly appreciate it, is like, you're listening to a lecture, and it was an Arabic lecture, and the guy, he's not necessarily like a Islamic scholar, but he's an Arabic scholar. And I remember he was talking about how one young, like he's Egyptian, Allah barak, and he was talking about one young guy came up to him, one young Egyptian boy came up to him and was like, what's so special about the Qur'an? What's so special about Qul Huwallahu Ahad? And he said, that's the point. Like, you're not going to get it because you don't know anything about Arabic. And you're not, the only person who's going to be able to truly appreciate the words Qul Huwallahu Ahad is the mutanahi fil fasaha, the person who got like to the end of like, mutanahi is like somebody who's very, very advanced to the point where you're as far as a person can go, or you're almost as far as a person can go when it comes to learning about the Arabic language. And like Imam Shafi'i said, nobody can encompass the Arabic language except for a prophet, like for the Prophet Muhammad. So you're not going to ever get to the end of it, but you have to like to get very, very far. The farther you go with Arabic, the farther you get with the Qur'an. So these other sciences are just keys to unlock the Qur'an. Yeah. So if you learn the Qur'an, you memorize the Qur'an, then don't stay stagnant, because it's there's more chests and there's more doors to unlock depending on how much you learn and depending on what you learn. So that's my advice when it comes to Qur'an. Just always, always, always level up.
I also want to add for the people who do like memorize the Qur'an and they didn't get to like learn tafsir or like the translation of the Qur'an. I know one thing that I found really interesting was the ayahs that I would read, because I didn't take tafsir before I started memorizing, because I started memorizing at a young age. The ayahs that I did know the translation for, that I looked at the translation while I was memorizing, were the ayahs that I always remembered, like the easiest. Like it helped with the memorization as well to know the translation of the ayah, or like I would remember over time. So yeah, like the ayahs that I did like remember the most, or that stayed with me the longest, were the ayat that I didn't look at the meaning before I memorized it. So looking at the meaning also would be an advice that I would give people.
Yeah, that's one thing that helped me also, even right now. because I did it backwards. I learned the tafsir, and I learned, then I tried to start memorizing. So knowing the tafsir and the word-to-word translation of the Qur'an is very, very helpful for me connecting the ayats. Like I know, like now if I'm memorizing, I know that ayat left off with talking about this certain thing. So this is the next thing that's going to happen in sequence. So learning the meaning.
Yeah. That's why my mom used to call me shatura. Like, I don't know what that means in Arabic. Somebody, I think it means smart or something like that. Yeah. Because like when I first started with Noor, I used to write the translation to the point where I got like, I knew 80 to 90% of the Qur'an. So like, when I forgot an ayah, if she's gesturing like
a certain way, you get it.
Yeah,
we would do that.
Or they would give a hint. I was like, or I'm thinking. Because I know this sort of talk, especially I love conversations. That's why I memorize every conversation. And I know so-and-so said this, so-and-so said that. Okay, where's so-and-so in the conversation? Yeah. So
that's why I was so good at Surah Yusuf. That's why, that's the surah
because it made sense.
Pushed me because it was a whole story conversation. Yeah, like, this is,
we'd use those tricks for like Sawa, where like our teacher, like she would kind of like hint, I think she'd be like, he went, and we're like, oh, this, you know, it's like, it gets, like, you start understanding it, and it makes it easier.
It makes it way easier. But, so I think that's
pretty much it.
So what's your favorite ayahs? Let's end off with a good note like that.
Favorite ayah? My favorite ayah would have to be in Surah Al-Araf. I don't know, that was honestly my favorite ayah, but I barely know how to pronounce that surah. But that sort of, when I learned it at Al-Haba, the tafsir of it and the word-to-word meaning, I was mind blown about it. It's ayat 172 when Allah is saying that all mankind was derived from the loins, from the rib cage of Adam alayhi salam, and they were made to testify in front of Allah in some sort of way, shape, or form. Everyone's soul has testified in front of Allah that we bear witness that Allah is Allah. So on the day of judgment, when we stand in front of Allah again, there's no way that we can say, I did not know this, because it's in our fitrah. That's why everyone has a fitrah, their innate, like feeling, disposition in their chest, like they know that God is real. So no one, it's just, what I learned about that, I was so cool that like we can't go in front of Allah on the day of resurrection and be like, no, God, you didn't show me this. I didn't know this. SubhanAllah, it was really deep.
Or the Arabic is what, وَإِذْ أَخَذَ رَبُّكَ مِنْ بَنِي آدَمَ مِنْ ظُهُورِهِمْ ذُرِّيَّاتِهِمْ وَأَشْهَدُهُمْ عَلَى أَنفُسِهِمْ أَلَسْتُ بِرَبِّكُمْ قَالُوا
Yeah.
How about you?
I would say mine is more of also, I feel like yours is kind of scary when you think about it too. But mine is Surah Hashr, where Allah says, وَلَا تَكُونُوا كَالَّذِينَ نَسُوا اللَّهَ فَأَنْسَاهُمْ أَنفُسَهُم. Like those who like forget Allah, like Allah will make them forget themselves, So it's like, what closer way, even with like, now that we're talking about Qur'an, you could tie it back to like, what better way can you remember Allah than to read His book, right? So those who like forgot His book and left His book, Allah made them forget themselves. Yeah, so I think it ties back to the Qur'an. So it's a sense of motivation where it's like, inshallah, like trying to remember Allah so that we know who ourselves are and we don't lose ourselves.
Yeah.
I cannot choose. I have just
way too many.
I can't choose.
It's really hard to choose. I feel like that was just the most recent ayah that I could think of.
Yeah, I know. It always changes too. Yeah,
it always changes. I feel like once you read something, you're like, okay, I love this ayah. I'm going to stick with this one.
But it always changes. Because that was my first wow moment. And I'll never forget how I felt learning that ayah. That was just the coolest thing. Yeah.
And I feel like you can see it in people. And where it's like they lose themselves and they don't know who they are and they're having identity issues and all this stuff. And when you look back at it, it's like, okay, when was the last time you read the Qur'an? When was the last time you remembered Allah? When was the last time you went in here?
Too.
Yeah, it is.
Because it happens and you see it happen. You see, like for me, like I know people that used to be so attached to the Qur'an and like you just look at them now, and I'm not in any position to judge, but subhanAllah.
It's like learning a lesson. It's not judging, it's more like learning a lesson, seeing like the ayahs actually play out.
Yeah, no facts.
But my favorite Surah Al-A'raf though, I will say. That's hard to say too, but like one of that's really really.
I think Surah Al-A'raf. Toba for me.
Toba?
Yeah,
that's interesting. I love Toba too. Toba. I will say the ayah. The one where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgave the three.
The second last page?
Yeah, that
one of my favorite,
because of the whole story of Ka'b ibn Malik, but as well, that last, I think the last page of Surah Al-A'raf, where Allah says, what's the ayah before? This, the one I'm thinking is, إِنَّ وَلِيَّ اللَّهُ الَّذِي إِنَّ وَلِيَّ اللَّهُ الَّذِي نَزَّلَ الْكِتَابَ وَهُوَ يَتَوَلَّى الصَّالِحِينَ. The one before that, what is that? Quickly, because I feel like the end of it, just all of A'raf is really, really, really deep. But the end of A'raf is just
last page.
Second last page or last page. I don't know. I think it's the last page. Inna waliya Allah is the last page, right? Yeah, it's right here. It's right here, right? Inna waliya Allah.
Yeah, the first one.
Yeah, but there's one that said Qul. It's really scary, to be honest with you, the whole surah, but the last 4 pages of A'raf is like just really special to me.
Or you're talking before or after?
Yeah, no, this one, this one right here. Allah tells the Prophet to say, like, call all of your associates, plot against me. And then Allah tells him to say, Inna wali Allah. Allah says, tell them all, plot against me. And then what are you going to say? Inna wali Allah, my protector and my ally is Allah. Like, you have these allies, but Allah said, tell them, do what they want. Tell them to plot against you. But at the end of the day, and say, Inna wali Allahu alladhi nazzala al-kitab. Say that my Lord, and look, in this important ayah, what does Allah mention? Alladhi nazzala al-kitab. This exactly. So Allah mentions the Qur'an right after He mentions that important thing, that indeed my ally is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Alladhi nazzala al-kitab. So if you're really trying to take Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or you want Allah's allyship, but you're not going towards the Qur'an, what are you really doing? How can you, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, same, I am, you're like, inna wali Allah, my ally is Allah, alladhi nazzala al-kitab, the one who sent down the book, وَهُوَ يَتَوَلَّى الصَّالِحِينَ, and He's the one who He takes His allies, the righteous. So if you really, just all the last 4 pages of A'raf, if you do anything today, just look up the ayahs that we mentioned, wallahi, and that would be beneficial for you, just the meaning of them.
Surah Tawbah, I don't remember. Isn't it supposed to be like a scary surah a little bit? How
it starts off with like an order, like
and there's no bismillah, right?
There's no bismillah.
When I learned
that's a weak opinion.
Oh yeah, okay. I heard that. I was like,
not to say weak opinion. You know how they say there's no bismillah because it's supposed to be scary and it's difficult.
That's what I heard.
But like I
heard it starts off with like an amr. So
it's
an order.
Yeah, right away.
So I think the most
that's one thing I learned about.
Well, I don't want to say most correct, but from my the most correct opinion is that the Sahaba, like there's an opinion that whereas among the Sahaba that Tawbah is part of Anfal.
It's the connection.
Okay, I heard that too. I heard that too.
But at the same time, another spin that I liked about Surah Tawbah was that what does Allah start off? Bara'atu min Allahi wa Rasulih. من المشركين, right? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is freeing Himself from the
anything else.
So they're saying it's scary, but at the same time I feel like that's our Western take on things, because if you think about it, like what Sheikh was saying, one saying like, what is more beautiful than eradicating shirk and like tawheed being upon the land? Like what's more beautiful than like kalimatullah being like a'la? Right?
But correct me if I'm wrong, isn't like the whole beginning like Allah ordering that the people would leave Mecca?
Yeah, technically, yeah, but at the same time, like I guess the speaker's point was that in itself is not scary. That's
not
a beautiful
scary.
thing.
It's a beautiful thing. Like
because
over.
Our thing is, you know, like we think of something like that as scary, but really it's a beautiful thing, and not tawheed is spreading in the land. Like what is worse than mushrikeen being there? And, you know. Anyways, that's what I thought. I feel like that, but I feel like as well it has a lot of deep eyes. The whole Qur'an is deep, obviously, but
I think also I think the way it sounds too. I think that's why I also chose that surah is because it has just beautiful eyes. Honestly, like
and I think it's the longest surah when you're going up. Like that's the first long surah.
20 pages are like, oh.
Yeah, I feel like that's why it hits you too, because you're just struggling. Anyway, so alhamdulillah, that about does it. Yeah. Anything else to add?
That's all. Alhamdulillah.
Anyone that clicks this video accidentally, or if they're regular viewers or first time viewer, I would think that if you don't have a connection with the Qur'an right now, make this be the start of it, inshallah. Because I always say this all the time, like everything's a sign for me. Like
no, it is 100%.
Like everything, I see something, everything's a sign. So if I watch this video and let's say I'm not a person who gravitates to the Qur'an every day, I don't have like a mushaf in my car, a mushaf in my bag, like that kind of thing, I would say when this video's done, go open up the Qur'an, go try to look for a class, and go start making, you know, specific dua that Allah makes your Qur'an journey easy for you. Even if you're in the middle, the beginning of it, the end of it, whatever you may be, you know, let this be your start, inshallah.
That's a beautiful note to end off with. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
100 النعمان وبعد 11 سفيان ومالك في 79 والشافعي 4 مع قرنين وفي 38 قضى إسحاق بعد 40 قد مضى أحمد والجعفي عام 6 من بعد 50 وبعد 5 مسلم وابن ماجة من بعد 70 في 3 بحد وبعد في 5 أبو داود والترمذي في 9 خذ ملحودا والنسوي بعد 300 عام 3 ثم بعد 5